Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's talk Act 3 of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Let's try that again. I have to urinate. Hello my intelligent friends, welcome back to Tea and Lit. In today's video we are going to be discussing Act 3 of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, so please grab yourselves a cuppa and a copy and let's get into it. So, this act opens up with the death of Julius Caesar. To be totally honest with you, I was kind of surprised at how quickly this came about because I know that typically, Othello, I can't keep these proper nouns straight. I know that typically Shakespeare saves his murderous rampages for the end of his plays. And so when it came to Act 3, when Julius Caesar is stabbed, I was like, oh, is the play over? What are we doing here? But really it is just the pivot point in the story. So Caesar is stabbed by the collection of conspirators that we have been hanging out with. It seems led by Cassius, managed by Brutus in a lot of ways. And in his dying moment, Caesar says, "Et tu, Brute," or "and you, Brutus," because I think Caesar was shocked that Brutus was involved in this. And I think part of that is that Brutus seemed, up until this point, to have really had mixed emotions about Caesar, and we saw even in Act 1 that Cassius had to do some convincing to Brutus. It wasn't that Brutus was entirely on his train, that it took some time for Brutus to be convinced that Caesar had to die. And I think that is a testament to the rhetoric that we were talking about. Those who can command language really well and can convince people to do things. We had discussed it with Mark Antony no, we haven't. At some point in the future, we will discuss it with Mark Antony. But we can also talk about it with Cassius towards Brutus, how Cassius kind of manipulates the situation and moves Brutus into a behavior that Cassius wants to see the killing of Caesar. And so Caesar is shocked, is totally shocked that Brutus has been involved in this. One of the things that's so interesting is that after Caesar dies, the immediate reaction of the conspirators is to say, liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. Liberty, freedom, and enfranchisement is what this represents. So they want to present the narrative that because Caesar is this tyrant, Caesar is this great oppressor, and we saw at the very first scene of Act 1 that the people do have kind of a weird feeling about Caesar, that he is maybe disconnected from them or abusive towards them, a tyrant towards them. He's ruling Rome with an iron fist. The people do have this inclination, and so for Brutus and Cassius and the other conspirators, they want to come out and announce to Rome, listen, we have liberated you from this tyrant, you are now free. And what do people do with that freedom, I think is really the height of the story. That's the thing that surprised me most, as that I thought it was going to be the death of Caesar that was going to be the height of the story, and that's absolutely not the case. It is the people's reaction to the death of Caesar. The death of Caesar is the catalyst for the story. Not that it's the synonym for pinnacle, climax of the story. Language is so hard. After the death of Caesar, Brutus and Cassius want to speak with Mark Antony. Antony, in his wisdom, has some apprehensions about going to speak with them. He wants to know that he has safe passage. Remember, Antony is a dear friend of Caesar's, and Cassius wants to kill him, but Brutus says he's just a limb of Caesar. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you will. And so Brutus says Antony has safe passage with Brutus, that he is his friend, and that Brutus has no intention of allowing anything problematic to happen to Mark Antony. Friends, am I with you all and love you all upon this hope that you shall give me something, but I can't read my own handwriting. reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. So Mark Antony needs some convincing. Now this is the case, I think, that's probably common with people who are close with others. It's very hard to see a tyrant as a tyrant if you're their best friend. You know, Hitler had a family, you know, and I'm sure he was lovely to his children and his mistresses. I don't know if he ever married. But he was obviously like one of the worst people in all of history. But it's one of those things when you're too close to it, sometimes you can't see it and you don't see how this person is treating other people because you're like, well, you know, he's so lovely to me. You see that all the time with like serial killers whose moms defend them. It's like, my baby boy was so lovely. And it's like, well, he killed 8 people, so maybe he's not some gem of a human. So Mark Antony needs some convincing to say, you are telling me that my dear friend Julius Caesar was a terrible person, but you have to tell me why. And so I thought it was really interesting that Antony was not going to just let them get away with it for the sake of it. And he's still not going to let them get away with it. Brutus says this really great line, it's not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. And so there's this idea that, you know, Caesar was this abuser of the country, of the countrymen, and he needed to find a way to protect his country and protect the people who lived in his country. And I think this definitely, for me, seems a correlation, or public servants, particularly in the military, their oath is to the Constitution, and their oath is to preserve, protect, and defend against enemies at home and abroad. And I think very often we consider our enemies to be people outside, people over there. And in so many circumstances, our enemies are within. And it's very easy. I mean, we see this even on a micro level. You know, I have an enemy. This person is bothering me at work or at school or whatever. I don't like this person. They cause me distress. And to have this self-reflection and say, well, this thing that I don't like in this other person is actually something that is in me, that I do. I don't like this person who talks too much, but that's because I talk so much that I want to control the conversation. And so having that view of, you know, it's not so much that I don't like, I guess there's no point to what I'm saying. I guess there's no point to anything. I'm just chatting away. Mark Antony has a great speech. Brutus speaks first. As part of their clever plan, they being Cassius and Brutus, is to let Brutus speak to the public and say, you know, we've had to do this to liberate you from the tyranny of Julius Caesar. And then to let Mark Antony come up and speak and say, you know, Caesar was my friend, but these men are honorable, and, you know, they've made the choices that they've made. So that is the plan that they've come up with. Excuse me, and Brutus gives his speech. That's where he says, not that I love Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more, trying to show the people that he is the good man that they think he is. Later he says, tears for his love, joy for his fortune, honor for his valor, and death for his ambition. So the decision is that they want to, the marketing decision that they've made is that they want to present Caesar as this ambitious figure, which I find super interesting because I don't, like, if he's the emperor of Rome, and this great war hero, like, he's got it. Of course he's ambitious, but, like, he's gotten to his position because of his ambition, and I don't know how much higher you can climb from Emperor of Rome. The people have decided at first that they're going to follow Brutus's views, that Caesar was ambitious, but then Mark Antony gets up and he starts his speech with the line we all know, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. And in Mark Antony's speech he says, you know, these men are honorable, but did you know Caesar to be ambitious? And I think the way Mark Antony presents his views is just amazing. I've seen it, heard it, read it, I don't remember, that the way you convince people to your side is to ask them questions. You don't tell them, you don't teach people, you ask them. And that is a methodology of classical education, that you ask questions in line with what you're wanting where you're wanting to lead people. And Mark Antony does a good job, not so much in the asking of the questions part, but in the leading people to make their own decision on the context of the situation. So he says, you know, these men are honorable, but did you know Caesar to be ambitious? These men are honorable, but Caesar has done, you know, XYZ for you. He's left you this land to enjoy the fruits from. These men are honorable, but. And then it leads to people thinking they're drawing their own conclusions. And it kind of makes you take pause and say, where are you being the victim of propaganda from authority figures of whatever kind? And I think Mark Antony does a really good job. So much. A repeated theme in this play is the concept of rhetoric and power, and it's really great. Mark Antony says they were traitors, honorable men. Can you be both a traitor and honorable? You know? And he presents that question to them, and they have to make that decision moments after Brutus has spoken. Mark Antony dials back, and reminds the people the incident the day before, 2 days before, in which Caesar repeatedly refuses the crown to say, is this the sign of an ambitious man? And of course it's not. One of my favorite lines here is, mischief thou art afoot, take thou what corpse thou wilt. So basically, by the end of Mark Antony's speech, the people have decided to go with Mark Antony and not Brutus, and they are out for blood. And they are going to kill people. And the way the story continues, as we'll see over the next couple of days, is that they will go to war, basically, to avenge the death of their lovely Caesar. Cur. Act 3, Scene 1, line 51. The word cur is used. It means currency. It's like a shortening version of currency. The obvious favorite line is et tu brute, or friends, Romans, countrymen. Mischief thou art afoot, take thou what course thou wilt. I kind of like that one. I think my favorite line is from Scene 1, line 186. Pity to the general wrong of Rome. As fire drives out fire, so pity, pity. Question, would you put a comma there? I would put a comma there, because otherwise it's just pity, pity. Pity, pity. Anyway, I feel like I'm mostly throughout this asking you grammar questions and phonics questions. But I do want to know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought of Julius Caesar Act 3 in the comments below. As always, there's swag and notes in the description box. Give this video a vote. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Either way, we like to know what you are feeling about these videos. I imagine it's a thumbs down because, to be honest with you, my energy level is not up right now. It is not up right now. And we will catch you guys next time. I say we. I don't want you to think that I'm totally crazy. My brother edits these videos. Okay, bye!
If thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spurn thee like a cur out of my way. While cur can be a shortening of both currency and current, I think in this context, William Shakespeare is actually referring to cur as in sort of an insult. It can mean an aggressive dog or one that is in poor condition, sort of like a mongrel or a hound type thing. But, you know, when used for a person, it specifically translates to more of just like a contemptible person, you know. It's an insult, not just talking about money. I just wanted to specify.